Welcome back, programmer. Let's continue on with our Java class on creating this dice game. So this is where we left off before. I've commented out everything because this is all just for testing. So we don't need this anymore. And let's continue on with number 3. It says here to write a class, dice game 1, your name. So I've got that going here. And I've decided to create a static main so that the compiler will look for this main and run everything inside it. And it says here to instantiate and initialize a pair of dice. Okay, we can do that. We've already got a pair of dice class going that we created before. We'll just call upon dice pair yi. And I'm going to call it dice pair and initialize it with the new keyword dice pair yi. And what all this does is it will call upon a new object of type dice pair yi. It'll execute the constructor, this constructor. Since I don't have any arguments inside it, it's going to call this one. If I placed, say, a number in here, then it'll call upon this constructor because this one requires an argument in there. But this will suffice. So there's our object called dice pair. Next, we're going to instantiate score, 20 element integer array of integers, initialize it all to 0. Okay, so here's our integer int array. We're going to call it score. And same thing, int 20 is the size. And it says we got to initialize it all to 0. Perfect. Let's go ahead and do that with a for loop. And I equals 0. I is going to be less than 20. And I plus plus. And inside here, we're basically going to set everything in our score array to 0. Everything in index I, set it to 0. All right, so we're all set with that. Next, it says to write a play method. And this is where we can do, we have several ways of doing this. The preferred way, that would make sense is if I created a play method inside the subclass dice pair yi, then, that'll work because the game should only be played with objects of type dice pair yi. But it looks like, at least in the context that I'm reading here, it looks like they want us to put it inside our client. So it's going to be a local method only within the only to be used within this client class. So if we were to do that, and we can, we're just going to have to play by these rules. The rules are static is the main. So now that we have a static class or a static function, anything that is being called inside here, any functions or methods that are going to be called inside here, those functions and methods have to be static themselves. So you may ask, well, what happens if I don't? Well, let's see, if I give an example, if I call it public void play, and I go ahead and, create this, I can't call the function play here because it says non-static method. Play cannot be referenced from a static context. So a static function cannot call upon another non-static function. So in order for that to work, I'd have to do this, static void play. And now the error is gone. And you might be thinking, wait, it says it's a method, so I need to have something dot. Maybe I need dice pair dot play. Well, this wouldn't work either, because if we're going to use this method of static, then dice pair, if we look into dice pair, we don't have a method called play. So it wouldn't work for us to do this. But what we can do is we can create a method that is local, and we just call upon the play method here like so, and it'll execute whatever's in there. and keep going from there. So this is the method I'm going to use. Everything is going to be local within the client class. So let's get into play. What do they want us to do? Write a play method for a new game. It should reset the game and then continuously roll the dice until you win, lose, or the array is full. All right. So there are different scenarios. We got to win, we got to lose, and we got just keep going. And let's take a look here. Since I'm playing within static world, so to speak, everything's static. And static literally just means like it's not moving. It's gonna stay the same. It's the opposite of dynamic. So being the way that the design that we're choosing, I can't go ahead and just call, oh yeah, I'll just call my object dice pair and say I want to get the total, which I'm going to need. You'll say, well, this thing doesn't exist. I can't find the symbol. Then, okay, maybe you might say, well, I could just put this out here, right? I can make it a global. And wait, this still wouldn't work because it says, again, we get the issue of non-static variable and all that stuff. So of course, the best way to avoid this is to simply pass it in. So I'm going to have to pass in my dice pair itself, and it's going to be of type dice pair, and I'll call it dice pair. And I'm also going to need the score, since I'm going to be manipulating the score every time I play the game. So it's going to be int or int array and a score. Oh yeah, and of course the dice pair, it should be dice pair yi. That's the type. The object type is a dice pair yi, and this is just the object, the variable name. So now we don't have an issue here, but of course we have an issue here because I didn't match the variables. I'll just match it, dice pair and score. Okay, so that should do it, but we don't need this just yet. What I do need is a loop of some kind. It says here to continuously roll the dice. So I need to continuously roll. Oh, I roll a 4 and then I roll an 8. I'm going to keep looping until I meet a certain condition. So let's go ahead and create that loop. And the way I designed this is I'm going to use a while loop. And you can use a for loop if you wish, but I feel like the easier way would be using a while loop. So here I'm going to, since I know that the 20 is the maximum, I can design it as such. I'm going to come up with a number. I'll start it at 0. So this is going to be the thing that increments every time I'm in the loop. And I'll say while n is less than 20. So while n is less than 20, do something. And when I'm inside the loop, I'm going to have to increment n every time I play the game. So this will prevent me from getting kicked out. So this actually kind of looks like a for loop. Yeah, you can say, oh, for this, this, and this. But yeah, the way I see it, we've got more room to adjust here instead of using a for loop. So I can basically choose what value n can be at any time. So if I meet a certain condition, say if I meet this condition where I hit a 7 at the first go, I'll just set n to 20 and we get kicked out of the loop. And again, this is just a personal preference. You can use a for loop if you wish. So let's just have fun with this. And let's take a deeper look into what the game actually is and how it works. So when they say reset, that could mean several things, but in this context, I think of it as a roll. Reset, so the first roll, I hit a 10, and then the next roll, I hit a 10. So this is a reset. So this is a random roll. So each of these numbers are a reset, so to speak, and they are individual independent roles. So this is a role, and then this is a new role, there's a new role, new role. We're going to keep going until we meet a certain condition. So right off the bat, I can just call upon dice pair dot roll, and this will give me some random number. But if I look at the game even farther, it actually tells me, let's see, each roll is entered in the array, but it doesn't say which number, because I get two numbers from a pair of rolls. And let me look farther here. Here it is. Roll the two dice up to 20 times and save the total in the array. Okay, so I need the total of whatever this roll is. And so I'm going to call upon my array. It's going to be at index n, and it's going to equal to my dice pair. I will call upon the get total method. So whatever the total is, store it into this position of my array. Okay. And that will satisfy this, this part here. I've got, let's see. Oh, I forgot to label it. I've got A, and I've got B, and this guy right here, well, actually this whole thing will be C, right? Okay, now it says each roll is entered in the array until you win, lose, or the array is full, and then we can write a print array. We'll get to that later. Now let's finish up this play method. And in order for this to work, we have to meet certain criteria. We've got this going. It's going to roll 20 times. It's going to save the total in array. Okay. If the total is 7 or 11, you win. So let's take a look at an example here. The very first rolls, if I have a 7, there's my 7. The game's over. No other values are stored in the array. You win, and we're done. Let's say we have a 2, 3, or 12. Well, in this case, it doesn't have it, but we're gonna set it up so that if we get a 2, 3, or 12 on the first roll, then the game's over, you lose. Similarly, for 11, you win on the very first throw. The interesting part is the other numbers. So if the total is anything else, save the total as a goal, put it in the array, and keep rolling. We're going to keep rolling until we meet our new objective, which is to match the goal. So let's see, if you keep rolling until you either get goal or a 7, and then show the array, if you roll the goal, you win. Let's take a look at this example. So here's an example. 10 is the first roll. It's not a winning number. It's not a losing number. So it is a goal. And then the very next roll, it matches the goal. Game's over, you win. And here's another example. 8 is not a winning or losing number. We roll. This is not the goal. Roll again. And 8 matches, and you win. So let's take a look at one where you lose. So it says here, if you roll a 7, you lose. So here's a good example. 6 is not a winning or losing number right off the bat. Let's keep rolling. 3 is obviously not 6, not 6. Oh, we hit a 7. Sorry, game's over, you lose. So everything pretty much depends on this first roll. If the first roll would pretty much determine whether you win, you lose, or we're going to go into this new objective goal scenario. So let's design and capture this first roll. And how we can do that is we will say if n is equal to 0. So this would designate when n is 0, this is obviously the very first roll. So at our very first roll, I'm going to capture the winning scenario. If my score at index n, which is what I saved here, if my total at this position is equal to 7, or if my total at index n is equal to 11, I need to do something. I need to say, well, actually, I need to say system.out.print, and I don't want a new line. I just want to print it here. Everything's going to be on the same line, so there's not going to be a print ln. I'll say you win. And I need a way to kick myself out of this. Okay, kick myself out of the loop. So I can just set my n equal to 20. It'll go here, n will become 21. It'll check, is n less than 20? Nope. So we get kicked out of the while loop. Perfect. Now let's take the other scenario. Else, if my score is 2, 3, or 12, if my score at index n is equal to 2, or score at index n is equal to 3, or score at index n is equal to 12. Okay. So this here, I'm going to do the same thing, except it's going to say you lose. So keep in mind, we're still in the very first row, right? We're on this column here, the very first rows. So obviously, if you get one of these numbers, we quit the program, you lose. Everything else, if you get any other number, we need to set a goal. So here we can say goal is equal to whatever number that was rolled. And of course, goal, I need to declare it here. I'll just call it goal. And to prevent any issues, I'll just set it to 0. Okay. Here we go. So now this takes care of that. And now we need to account for the scenario thereafter, which is if I didn't lose, if I didn't win, if I didn't lose, I'm going into this. So let's get into the else statement of this guy. So the else statement will be once we go on to the next one where n will equal to 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth until we meet a new scenario or meet a particular condition that causes us to kick out of the loop. So here, it says here, if I roll a 7, I lose. So let's do that this time. So regardless of what my goal was, if my score at index n is equal to, if my score at index n is equal to 7, then this time I'm going to do this. You lose, right? And then of course the alternative will do else if my score at index n is equal to whatever goal that was determined in the very first roll, then you win. So let's copy this guy and this guy, you win. Perfect. So I think this will pretty much cover everything. The win, lose. Oh, there's one more. It says here, or the array is full. So imagine we start at some goal, and as chance would have it, we just keep rolling and rolling. We don't get a 7. We don't get the goal. We just keep going until we reach the end. Array is full. We also want to say game over, you lose. So the final thing will be else, and we'll capture it too. Else if n, if we reach the very end, n is equal to 19, then I want it to say you lose and kick ourselves out of the loop. There we go. So this will take care of all the scenarios. And this would be D. Yes, D would basically begin, each row is entered into the array until so basically this guy here, this is D. Okay, so this takes care of the play method, and we can test it here later once we get our print. And the print statement will basically be just as for loop and a print. So we're going to do a static, same thing. We'll do a static void. He wants it to be called print array. Okay, we'll come up with a for loop. I equals 0. Oops. I less than 20. I plus plus. And here we're just going to call the system out. Same thing, no new line. We're just going to say score at index I and plus some blank space. So we wanted to have some blank spaces in between the numbers, and it's giving us an issue because I need to pass score in. So I'll just put int in array and score. Okay, so let's go ahead and test it. I'm going to call print array. I need to pass in score. All right, compile, no errors, perfect. Let's try running it. All right, let's see, does this make sense? So we got a 6, which is our goal. And then we keep trying until we get a 6. No, 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 6, perfect, you win. Okay, I like that. Let's try it one more time. Okay, whoa, this one went really far. This is pretty cool. So we got a 10. Obviously, these are not 7s and these are not 10s. We finally reach a 10 here. You win. Perfect. And one more time. Okay, this is a losing scenario because our goal was 8, but we hit a 7 later. So this is a losing scenario. Now, the only thing left to do is to make it according to his specifications. We need the dashes here, right? So we're going to design it where if we reach a particular index, we want a dash there. So this should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once we hit index 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we want the dash first and then the number. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 5, 10, and 15, these indices, we want to print a minus sign first and then print the number. So let's go back into our code. Here we have our for loop, and it's going to be as simple as this. If I is equal to 5, or I is equal to 10, or I is equal to 15, simply system.out.print, give me a dash with no space before, and there we have it. So this dash will come first and then the number. Okay, so let's give it a whirl. And oh yeah, this is E. Okay, compile it one more time. And let's run it. And there we have it. Very nice. So let's see, 4 is our new goal. Hit a 7, we lose. Okay, let's keep testing it. Okay, we hit a 7, lost. Come on, give me a win. Oh, we got a win right off the bat, a 7. Okay. And one more just for old time's sake. All right, another 7. And obviously we lose because we hit a 7 when we're supposed to get a 4. Well, there you have it. This completes the entire lab assignment. So again, I'll have all this in my GitHub. Feel free to refer to it, use it as you wish, and feel free to share it with your friends and your classmates. And as always, if you have any questions, email me, or I'll put my contact information on GitHub. And as always, keep programming and good luck. I'll see y'all in the next video.